My favorite type of coffee is a honey lavender latte. It is absolutely delicious. It tastes so fresh and so gardeny, and it just reminds me of the beautiful fields of lavender in France that I have yet to see, but I love how they look. So yeah, what I start to do is I make my own lavender syrup, and this I prefer over, for example, a pre-made lavender syrup, just because it tastes a lot more fresh and it has just a stronger lavender flavor as opposed to the pre-made ones that have that flavor of, you know, those preservatives that they put in there to make it last a little bit longer. So yeah. First thing I do is I take my little pan, nothing too huge, and this recipe is pretty much a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of water and sugar. So what you'll do is put in 1 cup of water, and then you put in 1 cup of sugar, and you should let that boil first. Let the sugar, or not exactly boil, you don't have to let it reach the boiling point, but you just want to dissolve that sugar into the water and make that sugary water. And once it's like that, and once it starts to boil a little bit, then you can add your lavender. I accidentally added my lavender right after the sugar, and it hadn't even gone onto the heat yet, so it would work like this too, but you know, the true process is maybe just letting that sugar dissolve into the water first, but regardless, both work. So then I just put in the lavender, and I like to put in a lot of lavender. I think I've seen recipes that call for about 2 tablespoons for the 1-to-1 ratio, but I like to put 3 to 4 or 5 tablespoons because it just tastes so much better like that. It has like a really strong lavender flavor, and you can even see it in the color of the syrup because it looks like a deeper purple. It just looks wonderful. And I've made it before many times, so the time I made it with just 2 tablespoons of lavender, it was very like light colored, and I had to put like a bunch of spoonfuls of the syrup into my coffee to make it taste like lavender. So once you have that going, you want to put it over the heat, and you're gonna let it just come up to a little boil, nothing too crazy, and you're just gonna leave it like on a low medium heat and let it simmer for about 20 minutes. That's usually what I do. Once it does that, I turn it off, and then I just let it sit there and cool, and I cover it. Don't want anything to fly in there or go in there, so I just close it and I let it cool all the way, and then once it is done, I take a little sieve and I put it over my little French, what is this called? The little glass jar, mason jar? Is that a mason? No, it's not. The mason jar is the one you twist, right? I don't know. You put it into some glass jar that you want, and then yeah, you just sieve it out, and there you go. That's your lavender syrup. It's so simple. So that is that step, and you can do this with anything. If you wanted to make like a rosemary syrup, basil syrup, peach syrup, well, peach is a little bit different. If you do it with anything that's already dried, it's the same process, and peach is another story, but we won't cover that yet. So yeah, that's how I make my lavender syrup. Also, fair warning, I'm really not like a coffee expert or barista or anything that has like qualifications on coffee. It's just a girl making coffee, okay? So don't come for me. Okay, so now onto the coffee part. So I like to use a mocha pot, which is, if you don't know, it is a little Italian coffee espresso producer. It makes it, and it's so delicious. Like, it just comes out so nicely. I love the espresso that comes out from that little tiny pot. I have a lot of these pots, so maybe I'll make a video showing like all of my mocha pots. My boyfriend and I went to Italy recently and we got a lot of them, so yeah. But yes, you use that. It's very simple. It produces, or not produces, why do I keep saying produced? No, it makes 1 espresso shot. So I always use this 1 tiny portion for my morning coffee. So the first thing I do is I add in my 2 to 3 spoonfuls of lavender syrup into my mug, and then I add in just a little drizzle of honey, not too much because the syrup is already sweet. And then after that, I put the milk, so I don't have like a fancy milk steamer or anything like that. Like this is really basic, okay? Like anyone could make this recipe. So I just take some whole milk, whole organic milk is the one I like to use. And then I just warm it up in the microwave for 1:30 roughly. And once it's out of there, I like to take this milk frother and then I start frothing it like I put the little frother towards the bottom of the cup, and then I kind of work my way up, and I just froth it for maybe like 30 to 40 seconds roughly. It depends on how the milk is responding to like the frothing action, because sometimes it's like I'm not doing it low enough or I'm not doing it high enough, and you know, different things like that. So there are little nuances to improving the frothing technique, but it's very simple, very easy. And this little machine apparatus that I use for it, you can just get from Amazon, or even IKEA has them. Like I was gifted one from IKEA when I lived in Paris from my coworker. I don't know why that was the gift they chose, but it worked. That's not the one they gifted me. This is my brother's. So yeah, once that happens, I just kind of like tap the cup on the counter, and since it is a plastic one, I can kind of shape it to have a little peak. And then that's when I just start pouring it into my mug, and I can sort of make like a tiny latte art, but it doesn't come out like that wow, you know, because I'd need like a pointier like metal tip for that, but I don't have that quite yet. So this will do for now, and voila, there you have your delicious honey lavender latte. It is my favorite thing on this planet. It is just so good, and I love having it in the mornings. It's just like a ritual now, and I feel so calm when I have it, because I kind of get anxiety in the mornings when I wake up just before work or before school or anything. So this definitely helps alleviate that kind of tension within myself. So yeah, I hope you enjoy that recipe, and I hope you make it. Hopefully you like it. Bye.